Hi readers, remember yesterday we started a new learning target this week that focuses on visualizing. Remember, visualizing is when, as readers, we engage with a text by creating mental images in our mind. And remember, these mental images are consistently or continuously changing as we read our stories. So this means we create a movie in our mind and connect the words you read with the images. So in our mind, while we're reading, we're thinking about what can we see? What can we picture? And the movie in my head is showing what? Okay, so yesterday as I modeled for you the reading strategy, visualizing, I want to teach you today about how one way you can use your five senses while you're visualizing. So we want to pay attention in the story. What do we see? What do we touch? What do we smell, taste, and hear? And remember, we're using our imagination to create this picture in our minds. So today I want to continue to teach and add on to our understanding of visualizing so you can apply this in your own books, your own stories. So watch me today as I show you how to keep track or how to be engaged in visualizing, creating pictures in our minds while we use our five senses. So here is one way. One way is getting a piece of paper, and I saw some of you do this on separate Post-its. So you had the right instinct of tracking your thoughts and your senses while you were reading your stories yesterday. So I'm going to show you my piece of paper before, and I'm going to show you my piece of paper at the end. So throughout the story, I'm going to continue to stop and think and ask myself, what can I see? What can I picture? What is the movie showing inside my head? And I'm going to keep track of the things that I'm seeing and hearing, tasting and smelling. I'm not writing a paragraph. I'm going to list with those bullets right here, just like we're learning to use in our writing. These are like notes of a list, so I'm going to list them. And notice at the bottom I have feel twice, because as we're reading the story and using our senses, we do use the sense of touch or feel, but we also use feel as in we can feel the feelings of the characters or the things that are in our story. Okay, so watch me as I think aloud and show you how am I using visualizing while I'm reading the Night Song. And this is a gorgeous story. It is titled Night Song. I mean, this little baby bat right here is just, beautiful and adorable, isn't it? Love the little freckles. By Ari Burke and Lauren Long. And you might recognize this name here, Lauren Long. Lauren Long is the illustrator and author of Otis. Here we go. Night Song. The sun had set, and the shadows clinging to the walls of the cave began to wake and whisper. Kiro, Little Wing, the bat mother said to her child, tonight you must fly out into the world, and I will wait here for you. So the senses that are jumping out at me are when I hear sunset over here, I notice the beautiful coloring in the sky, but I also heard they're in a dark cave. And so the senses my smell kicks in, as well as the things on the walls. But the night is dark, Mama, darker than the moth's dark eyes, darker even than the water before dawn, the little bat exclaimed, twitching his ears this way and that. I know, whispered his mother. And when it is that dark outside, I cannot always see, Chiro admitted, stretching his wings. There are other ways to see, she told him, other ways to help you make your way in the world. How? Use your good sense. What is sense? The little bat asked. So remember too, a word that I've been using a lot lately is the word schema. So schema, remember, is all the knowledge and experiences you have, personal experiences and knowledge you have learned about that you bring in to what you know. Kind of like the word senses. And we see that it's an animal. And so the animal's having mama saying you have to use you'll use the good sense. So throughout this whole story, really pull out all 5 of our senses while we are reading. And I heard over here, darker than and so really we're still in the cave, right? And so I hear the echoing of the cave. I see the blackness in the cave. And I'm also feeling Chiro's fear or concern and worry. His mother folded him in her wings and whispered into his waiting ears. Sense is the song you sing out in the world, and the song the world sings back to you. Sing, and the world will answer. That is how you'll see. Now fly from our cave to the pond, where we bats like it best to eat. Have your breakfast, then fly home. But do not go farther than the pond, not unless your song is sure. And then she let him go. So I feel the love between the mama bat and Chiro. I see shock. I feel his shock. But now I'm starting to feel even the breeze pushing up against his wings. And I see that mom's hanging upside down. And I can feel that pull. Chiro fell into the cold air for an instant, then flapped and turned and flew out past the mouth of the cave and into the waiting night. So here my senses are hearing everything that's around, all those nightly sounds. Maybe frogs or birds, since they're kind of wrapping up their day. But I feel the darkness. Do you guys feel the darkness? And I see his senses are definitely alert. Look at his ears. They're on high alert. And I feel the coldness in the air. At first, Chiro tried to peer his way through the dark. Long arms rose up in front of him, waving slowly, blocking his path. He could not see around them or over them. Chiro was frightened. So I see what we might call a forest, or just a big patch of trees. And I see darker shadows. The trees are creating darker shadows, and I feel the coolness that those trees together are holding in the air. And I see the grass. I see the things growing down there. But he remembered his mother's bright words. Use your good sense. Chiro began to sing, softly at first. And now I just a couple slides back, I felt his fear, and I felt his nerves, but I've also felt his courage. And here I'm feeling his courage to start singing. He's afraid to do it. He's unsure of what his mom's saying is, but I feel his courage in doing that. And look at his ears. I can feel the wind pushing on those ears. And the movement of his wings. But then, more surely, his song flew ahead of him, and soon he could hear something singing back. Tall trees called out to him, chanted the lengths of their long branches and the girths of their rough trunks. Gleefully, he flew through the woods, past pines, over maples, and away. And so a group of all these different kinds of trees, I am visualizing that Chiro is flying into or near a forest. I see different things growing. And I heard all these different kinds of trees. And so think about what you would see in that forest. Some long branches, maybe swaying so we can hear the breeze. And we can just hear the darkness. At nighttime, it just gets dark and sometimes really quiet. Flying higher now, Chiro saw something sliding through the sky toward him. So out went his song, and where danger once threatened, now Chiro saw only a flock of friends flying above him on their evening errands. And I'm feeling his confidence grow in his singing his song. I think he's learning the importance of his song and how to use that. I can hear the flapping of the wings. I can smell the night air. And I can see that blue, the blue. Bright blue. As he flew farther, Chiro heard strange sounds. Lines of noise. 1,000 voices buzzing from one end of the sky to the other. For just a moment, Chiro didn't know what to do or which way to go. What do you think? What does your schema tell you that these are? Can you tell the shape of what these are right here? And remember, this is his first time ever being out in the world by himself without his mom. He's learning what these kinds of things are. And think of our schema. And think about birds flying around with these electrical wires and phone poles. Can they be dangerous to birds? Absolutely. So then they would definitely be dangerous to Chiro. And so his mom says, in those moments, rely on your good sense. This is also a great time to make a prediction of what you think he'll do. But when he followed his own song, let's read that sentence again. For just a moment, Chiro didn't know what to do or which way to go. But he followed his own song. In the sky, behind him, flowed a river of whispers fading away. The pond was just ahead. So he used his good sense to keep himself safe. And so this is 3 times now. We've watched him use his good sense to stay out of danger. But man, my eyes are still on this gorgeous blue. So boys and girls, we're going to stop here. In the second half of the story, you are going to get a piece of paper like I did, and you're going to set it up like I did. And then you are going to make a list while I read to you the rest of the story. Okay, so like I showed you at the very beginning of this, you have see, hear, taste, smell, feel, and feel. So you want to make these lists, these titles, on a piece of paper. So you want to track a pencil and piece of paper down before you watch part 2 of the night song. the whole time I read the rest of the story, every time I turn the page, I want you to hit pause and I want you to add 1 or 2 to every sense. I want you to imagine and visualize, use your imagination and your schema. What are the things you're seeing and hearing and smelling? So I want to see a good list of ideas in the second half of the story. And you do that while Miss Arnold is reading. Because in the end, now you take and share with me what are those things that you most visualized. So you'll put your title, Night Song, and then you can either write it, so you can see I wrote a couple of them. So some of the things that I saw were sunset colors. I saw blackness and I saw a forest. Or you can type in your answers. And you could say, well, you can't copy mine, so hint, hint, hint on that. Whatever answers I have, you shouldn't be copying my answers. You want to visualize your own discoveries in the second half of the story. Or you could type in your thoughts, type in your details of what you visualized. So the things I heard were the wings moving, tree swaying in the silence. The touch, I could feel the air on his wings and the rush of the cold air. Taste, I could taste the nighttime air and all the bugs flying around. Okay, so I'm going to stop here. I want you to hustle off and first get your piece of paper set up. You will not be doing 2 until the final half of the story is finished. So you are going to take notes. You are going to take notes on the 5 senses you see and hear throughout the second half of the Night Song. As soon as you have your paper ready, go ahead and go to video 2 or part 2, and let's finish our story and visualizing together today. Happy reading.